Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. We're coming to you from the Lentz neighborhood today, and we're going to talk about trees, where they are and where they are not in our city. We're also going to take a look at an interesting and somewhat troubling city study that talks about danger for the tree canopy. Portland is a city proud of its trees, protective too. So protective that there's a list of which trees you can and cannot plant. The idea is to create diversity in the species and keep pests from wiping out the canopy. So far, so good on that front. The city also cares enough about trees to count them every 5 years. That's been going on since the year 2000. The most recent count from 2015 to 2020 just came out, and for the first time, the number of trees have fallen. Jeff Ramsey is a science and policy specialist with Portland Parks.
We're estimating that we lost 800 acres of canopy, a little bit more than that, which over 5 years, that's losing the equivalent of Mount Tabor Park, that size chunk of our tree canopy every year for 5 years.
They tell stories. They tell stories like.
Vivek Shandas is a scientist at Portland State University who studies trees. He said in 2014, a study of the greater Portland area found more than 13 million trees that were 50 feet tall or higher.
That number is pretty large, and so we're not really talking about too much difference from that number from 2014 to 2022 now.
That's a lot of trees.
It's a lot of trees.
So there's a bit of context. The city of Portland lost trees over 5 years, but overall it's not a stunning drop for the bigger area. Still, it is concerning, and the loss was bigger on Portland's east side.
Preliminary evidence would suggest that the overall distribution, two things I'll say is overall distribution of canopy. We've seen a lot more loss of tree canopy in the east part of Portland than we have in other parts of Portland, and that's a pattern that actually is a bit concerning, in part because those are the areas of Portland that in many ways are the hottest parts of town, including the neighborhood of Lentz, where we're now standing.
It may be obvious that more trees mean more shade and some cooling on hot summer days, but Shandas demonstrated the point during our summer heat dome when he measured the temperature in different parts of Portland.
What we saw in this neighborhood of Lentz was a temperature reading of 125 degrees.
Wow.
And it was 124.5, I'm rounding up, but nevertheless, it was about 125 degrees in one area and 99 degrees in northwest Portland.
So yes, trees are important. The city goal is having 33% of every neighborhood covered by the tree canopy. The most recent report found it to be just under 30%. That's down from nearly 31% in 2015. Vivek said the biggest reason for the loss is development of new housing or remodeling. Trees are being taken out and not replaced fast enough. And he said that has an impact on everyone.
Because we know that places that have a lot of trees tend to have a variety of improved health outcomes. People generally have lower rates of asthma. People generally have much better mental health in areas that have a verdant tree canopy.
So next time you see a tree, say thank you. By the way, city leaders have said the new report shows action is needed now to replace the trees that we're losing, although they did not say what that action would be. By the way, we love to hear your comments on our stories and whatever you think that we should be looking into. The ways that you can contact us right there at the bottom of your screen. You could email us at thestory@kgw.com or give us a call, leave us a voicemail. The number is 503-226-5090. We're going to talk about another type of green now and a problem that's been happening for years. Marijuana is legally sold in both Oregon and Washington, along with many other states. But the federal government still views marijuana as an illegal Schedule I substance. And that means cash often piles up in the pot shops. It piles up because the shops are not allowed to deposit their money in nationally regulated banks. So that's the big ones. And every other business can do that, but not the pot stores. It makes them targets for thieves looking for a quick buck.
Maybe one of the scariest things I've ever seen, to watch my employees be put on their knees with a gun at their head being told to open a safe. I don't know if I want to take a closing shift, because what if we get robbed? And that's a reality that we have to talk about in interviews now. When I interview people to take a job, I have to bring up being robbed.
Wow. There are some solutions in place on a state level. Shops in Washington can actually pay to have their money deposited in state-regulated banks. It does allow the business to use a debit or credit card and keep that cash out of the store. The violent crime, though, targeting pot shops, very disturbing. In December of 2020, Michael Arthur was working in a dispensary in North Portland when he was shot and killed during a robbery. Yesterday, a man was killed at a dispensary in Covington, Washington. Shop owners say something absolutely needs to change.
It's very frustrating because we are a business, we're helping the community, and we just want to be a member of that society and bank, and we can't.
Washington State Treasurer Mike Pellicotti has been in Washington, D.C. this week, meeting with representatives and senators to try and get support for a new law that would allow those national banks to accept money from legitimate cannabis-related businesses.
You can't have a $1.4 billion a year transaction taking place in the state of Washington in cash and not have the risk of these type of robberies. It's time.
Pellicotti believes the bill will pass the Democratic-controlled Senate this year. He says their decision will likely be influenced by the rising number of those violent robberies. Yesterday, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler talked about the challenge of getting retiring police to stick around longer and help out while the Bureau hires more officers. It reminded me of a frank conversation I had with City Commissioner Mingus Mapps last week. We talked about staff shortages at the Police Bureau and what's really behind it.
Well, I do think we have some options. One of the things I'm deeply concerned about are vacancies that we currently have in the Police Bureau. We've set aside in previous budgets lines to hire cops and, frankly, unarmed police officers. We have plenty of vacancies there. We just need to do the hard work of recruiting folks to, fill out our Police Bureau and to, I think, fill out our unarmed police officers.
And why hasn't it happened already?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
I think part of it is it's hard to recruit police officers to work in Portland right now. As we all know, it's been an incredibly challenging couple of years for folks who wear a badge. It is also the case that police officers throughout the nation are in high demand. We have neighboring jurisdictions which are paying bonuses up to $25,000 to sign up for a police bureau, and we're losing talent to other cities.
And I can just hear critics in my ear saying, well, Portland City Council has helped demonize Portland police.
And I would say the Police Bureau agrees with you. I think recently we had a survey of police officers which asked their attitudes about the nature of their work. We saw that our public safety officers are demoralized, and one of the reasons why they're demoralized is they feel like they haven't been supported by elected leadership in this town.
Do you think that's accurate? Because you're part of the elected leadership.
I try to both hold the Police Bureau accountable, and I try to support public servants in the work they do, whether you're in the Police Bureau or the Parks Bureau. That's a culture change I'm trying to bring to the city. And I do think the culture and the dialogue has changed in the past year or so, but there's still a lot of trust that needs to be rebuilt.
Thanks for Mingus Mapps sharing his honest thoughts there. The family of a man shot and killed by police in Vancouver filed a wrongful death lawsuit today. You might remember the case. Carlos Hunter died after 4 officers stopped his SUV during a drug investigation back in 2019. Here's Kyle Aboshi.
The newly filed lawsuit paints the officers as reckless and negligent. The family's attorney claims officers escalated a pre-planned traffic stop and used excessive force, leading to the death of 43-year-old Carlos Hunter. According to the lawsuit, 3 Vancouver officers and 1 state corrections officer pulled Hunter over during a drug investigation in March of 2019. Seconds after the traffic stop, the officers tased Hunter 4 times and shot him 16 times. The lawsuit claims the officers instructed Hunter to unbuckle his seatbelt, even though they noticed a gun in his pants pocket. While the officers claimed Hunter reached for the gun, the lawsuit contends it was still in his pocket after his death. The family lawyer, Craig Sims.
And so it's important that people understand that truly this is not about anti-police, but we have to hold police officers accountable when they deserve to be held accountable.
Both Vancouver and the Clark County Sheriff's Office are facing intense scrutiny because of recent fatal shootings. Several civil rights organizations have asked the U.S. Department of Justice to step in and investigate. The Washington Department of Corrections declined to comment because of pending litigation. We're still waiting to hear back from Vancouver PD. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
A bill waiting for Idaho's governor's signature would create some of the strictest abortion laws in the country. It bans them after 6 weeks, with few exceptions. And like much talked about bill in Texas, it would let some people sue a doctor who performs an abortion. In response, Oregon lawmakers set aside $15 million to help women who would have to travel here to get one. Now, Washington state is taking even stronger steps to protect abortion rights for women and the doctors who provide them. Christine Pei from our sister station in Seattle explains.
To the citizens of Idaho, if Idaho will not stand up for your constitutional rights, we will.
With that, Governor Inslee signed a new bill Thursday that expands abortion access in Washington. The law prohibits legal retaliation against women undergoing abortions, the healthcare workers who provide them, or anyone helping women get one.
We know this bill is necessary because this is a perilous time for the ability of people to have the freedom of choice that they've enjoyed for decades in the state of Washington.
Inslee pointed to a Texas law that bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, and the Idaho law passed by its legislature this week would also ban abortions after 6 weeks and let certain family members of women who get an abortion sue their provider.
These bills do nothing to improve patient health or safety.
Erin Berry is an OBGYN at the Washington Medical Director at Planned Parenthood.
The fact is, abortion is critical and time-sensitive health care.
Others, like Marissa Green, a nurse practitioner for Cedar River Clinics, see many women who need protected abortion services.
It may be a teen who just wants to finish school, a family who cannot afford another child, or any person for any reason. Everyone needs easy access to abortions.
So we kind of wrap it up like a little present.
Pro-life services, such as Next Step Pregnancy in Linwood, are aware of the new law. Heather Vasquez is the executive director.
It doesn't really have much to do with what we do. I mean, our main mission and goal is to serve women in whatever capacity that we're able to.
They provide free prenatal care for women facing unplanned pregnancies.
Just ultrasounds, pregnancy tests, and then maternity and baby supplies.
New abortion laws or not, she says her goal is to let women know there are options beyond abortion.
Oregon missed out big when Intel announced a huge expansion in Ohio.
We do need to mobilize resources, people, and ideas, and really continue to spur innovation in our region.
And we know by now that you should not make your password, right? Well, maybe tell that to the city leaders in Newport, where someone was able to break into a city building because the door code was 1234. When the story continues. Welcome back. We see your emails coming in. Keep sending your questions and comments to the story at kgw.com or give us a call and leave a voicemail at 503-226-5090. We did see that one email where you talked about getting the ivy out of the trees. I know that's been going on a lot in Forest Park, so well done to all you volunteers who are doing that. Moving on. The engineers here at KGW make us change our computer passwords every few weeks. I got to tell you, it's a pain, and who can remember them anyway? But it does tell us something, and when we hear a story like the one coming up, we go, yeah, okay, it does make sense. Check this out. A woman broke into City Hall in Newport Monday morning. Well, she didn't really break in. She just punched in 1234 on the keypad, and then she walked right in through the unlocked door. According to the local paper, Newport city manager blamed a contractor who programmed that password for temporary use. No word on whether the employees there were actually using that code or had a badge, because no one apparently thought to say anything. It's been changed, we're told, hopefully not to 5678, by the way. The paper reported that the main break room inside City Hall was destroyed. The woman broke a bunch of stuff inside the building, smashing potted plants and plates, tipping a big wooden statue, somehow even chipping the stone floors. Come on. Then she lit stuff on fire, pulled the fire alarm. That's the only reason the police responded at all. The officer did arrest her. She's facing a long list of misdemeanor charges. But perhaps let this be a reminder. You should update your passwords just like they make us do, and 1234's just not going to cut it. Moving on. Earlier this year, we told you about how Intel, a company that employs about 22,000 people in this area, announced a $20 billion expansion, but not in Oregon. They decided to build in Ohio instead, and this is going to be a big game changer for that area. Here's what CEO Pat Gessler said about it.
This impact of a mega site like this is simply profound. A semiconductor factory is not like other factories. It's more like a small city supporting a vibrant community of services, suppliers, and ancillary businesses. You can think about this as a magnet for the entire tech industry.
Gelsinger even got a shout out from President Biden during the State of the Union for the expansion. And he told the president that Intel was willing to spend up to $100 billion in the area with the government's help. To put it mildly, Oregon missed out big time on that one. So we wanted to know why. What's holding this region back from attracting that kind of big expansion and the jobs that come with it? Laurel Porter dug into that on this week's Straight Talk. Talking with business and economic leaders from Oregon and Southwest Washington, one thing they agreed on, Oregon was not ready the way Ohio was.
So what about the land? The land parcel Ohio had ready was 1,000 acres. Monique, do Oregon and Southwest Washington have that kind of land parcel available?
There's land available in Oregon, but not in Greater Portland, right? To that scale. And I think what's important, even if you had the land, you want it in an urban market. You need to be close to talent. You need to be close to suppliers. You can put this at the bottom of Mount Rainier, right? But your workers, your engineers, your tech folks, it's a lot more goes into just the land itself, right? And even having the land, parceling the land, the different landowners. I mean, we're talking years in the making, right, to have and assemble that type of land in that region.
And Jen, do we need that big of a parcel to attract significant new investment?
We definitely do. Whether it's a manufacturer the scale of Intel or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, manufacturers are looking for larger parcels. Last year, the average manufacturing parcel request for companies looking to relocate into Clark County specifically was about 73.75 acres. So even that is a pretty considerable parcel if you look at our footprint.
Interesting stuff. You can watch the rest of the discussion tonight on Straight Talk at 7 or on our KGW YouTube page. The panel also talks about what Oregon and Washington are currently doing in order to attract more manufacturing and investments, and why Clark County in particular is leading the way on this one. When we come back, who's excited for spring break? It starts this weekend for kids in Oregon, but plenty of them are going to be missing out on meals at their schools. There are organizations working to step up and feed them. We'll introduce you to one of them coming up. Kids in Oregon are going on spring break next week. Congratulations. It'll be relaxing for some kids, but for others it'll be stressful because they may not have enough food to eat. Thousands of kids get most of their meals while they're at school. In Beaverton, volunteers are working to make sure that they're fed during the break. Here's Christelle Kumwe.
School meals are the only meals some children get in a day.
My son had some classmates on the soccer team that didn't play as well in the second half because they didn't have a meal before the game.
Nancy Winston is a volunteer working to feed kids.
One of his friends moved in with us his senior year in high school because he was made homeless.
Winston is part of a team at Bethel Congregational United Church in Beaverton, wanting to make sure homeless teens won't be hungry during school breaks.
We started about 7.5 years ago.
This week, the volunteers prepared 7,200 pounds of food. It'll feed more than 120 Beaverton High School students. Each student gets 6 bags for the 9 days school will be closed, including 2 weekends during spring break.
It's really devastating to think about something that's so basic not being available to people that live so close to all this that we have in Beaverton.
The Beaverton School District has more than 1,000 homeless students. District-wide, about 25% of students this year signed up for free or reduced meals. At Beaverton High School, it's more than a third of the student body.
Well, we pay attention to the ethnic needs of the school population. For instance, the students that have a halal diet do not get any pork products. So we pull those out of the bags and we substitute other products.
The food is donated from grocery stores, the Oregon Food Bank, and a $5,000 grant from the city of Beaverton.
Also, the Jesuit High School alumni give us money for gift cards so that each student can buy some fresh food.
A large community effort to sustain kids during what should be a break from the stress of school.
Thinking about the students getting the food is really heartwarming.
Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.
And it's a good time to remind you about this week's Hey Help campaign. We're asking you to donate to the KGW Great Food Drive. To see all the ways you can give, or if you yourself need assistance, visit kgw.com/food drive. We want to thank our partners Pacific Office Automation, Toyota, Rivermark, and Safeway for supporting this year's food drive. When we come back, a look at the Persian New Year right after this. Spring just about here. Can you feel the change in the air? We moved the clocks forward. Spring starts for Oregon. Spring break starts for Oregon kids this weekend, and the cherry blossoms, they're all starting to, well, bloom. And the spring equinox is on Sunday. That means spring officially starts Sunday. It also marks Nowruz. That's the Persian New Year. Christine Pitowanich gives us a look at how local people will be celebrating.
Nowruz, or the Persian New Year, happens every single year on the spring equinox. That is the start of spring, and this year it falls on Sunday at 8:33 a.m.
The Persian New Year is called Nowruz, which literally means a new day.
Sadri Mencheri co-owns Rose International Market in Beaverton.
I'm from Iran. I have been in the United States for 44 years.
And each year, he and Persians all over the world count down to the new year.
For us, it is the biggest, yes, the biggest celebration. This is a big deal, yes. The new year and the spring, new beginning, basically.
Families get together, eat food, reflect on the previous year, and look forward to the upcoming year. Younger people visit older family members who read a passage or poem from a book of wisdom of their choosing that gives insight into the new year. Younger family members also often have a surprise to look forward to.
When I was a kid, my favorite part was going to visit and not knowing how much money I'm going to get as a gift.
Each family or person might celebrate in their own way, but it traditionally includes making a table like this, called a half scene, which usually has 7 specific items, all of which start with the letter S. The significance of the number 7 has roots in the Zoroastrian celebration of the New Year.
The 7 mainstays are sabze, which is wheatgrass grown in a dish, and it symbolizes rebirth and new life.
Mencheri gave us a tour of the table.
Samanu, which is a sweet pudding of wheat germs. It represents fertility and new life. Senjet is sweet, dry fruit of lotus tree, and it symbolizes love and affection. There is sirke, which is Iranian vinegar.
It symbolizes wisdom that comes with age.
There is seep, or apple. Seep represents health and beauty. There is seer, or garlic, as a symbol of health and immunity.
Last but not least, there's sumac, an Iranian herb symbolizing the spice of life. These kinds of celebrations, whether from the Persian culture or another, a big component to that spice of life.
That's the beauty of the world we live in, that you don't have to look far to find reason for happiness and celebration. This coming Sunday at 8:33 a.m., as member of the Iranian community, I wish the world a Happy New Year.
Christine Pitowanich, KGW News.
Oh, that's good stuff. Hey, that's the end of our show. Thanks for watching. Remember, the story, our story, that never ends. I'll see you here Monday.